Hello everybody, welcome. Change the Shed. Today's June 11, 2025, and happy to be back. I am hoping you all are doing well and you're doing some weaving. It looks like you're coming in from all over the place. Thanks to those of you who are commenting and telling me where you're from and what you're working on. Sally's here from Wisconsin, and Susan from Pittsburgh, and Barbara from San Diego, where apparently it's gloomy, which seems unusual. Mary Lou from Cape Cod, Corinne from the UK, Lincolnshire, Betsy from Kansas City, Barbara is, these get out of order when I downloaded them, so sorry. Y'all, welcome, Barbara. Julia is from Germany. Karen is here from Massachusetts, working on 2 original designs and design solutions. 1, glad you're here, Karen. Paula, Vermont. Hilly's here from the Netherlands. Susan from Kansas. Nana's here from Woodstock, working on her ATA postcard and loving her Eris loom setup. Nancy's here from Conifer. But she's in Morrison. Yeah, it would be hotter in Morrison. Colorado. These are places in Colorado. Christine, glad you're here. Finally have time to join live. Warping Hocket Loom for a new series exploring monochromatic colorways. Hooray. Ooh, that sounds really interesting, Christine. Cool. Brenda's here from Pennsylvania. Carol from Kentucky. Paula from Northumberland, UK. Debbie's here from Montana. Welcome, everybody. I am here from Colorado. I live in southwestern Colorado near the Four Corners. Now, the next Change the Shed will be on June 25 in 2 weeks. And I wanted to tell you that the class Fixing Your Sheds, for those of you who are newer to Tapestry and you get frustrated when your sheds don't work, this is a class that tells you the ways that you can fix your sheds. There's a set number of ways to do that, and I will give you examples of all of them and some homework about how to practice that or how to recognize it in your own work and to know what to do. So that class has a live component, and it is next week. So take a look at that. I will put a link under this video when YouTube lets me, but sometimes it takes a day for me to put the links in the video. So just go to my website under online learning. That is a great class, and I haven't run it for a couple years live, and I don't do it all that often. So join up if you can. It's all recorded. It is a long-term class. You can access it whenever you want. You can use it for reference. You can come back and ask questions anytime in following years. It's just a good thing to help you figure out how to fix your sheds. Patreon, if you would love to join my Patreon, thank you for all of you who are members. It is thanks to them that I am still here, so you can thank them all for giving me some support to keep Change the Shed going. They also support me, some of them at higher levels, to do my own artwork. So I have a lot of behind the scenes stuff about my work and my studio. So if you're interested in that, check out Patreon. There's a link on my website, which is tapestryweaving.com. Summer of Tapestry is going well. Y'all are doing great. It's been so fun. It's not too late to join if you still want to join the class, but it is, I'm seeing some amazing things. So that's been really fun. And then the last thing on my list of what I wanted to say was welcome. I've had a lot of people join my school in the Introduction to Tapestry class. So welcome all of you. Many of you are brand new to Tapestry. Many of you are not new to weaving, but many of you are brand new to Tapestry. So welcome. That is a fun class and an easy access to Tapestry weaving. And I'm happy you're all jumping in. All right. Cool. Marlena is here from Texas. Yeah, wet and rainy. We've sent you all our rain, Marlena. It's now hot and sunny here, but we had a bunch of rain. Okay. I am working on the It's Fine tapestry again. Here is the cartoon. If you haven't seen it, it is woven sideways. So you'll see me weaving along what's on the right side in this cartoon where that foot is. That's I'm working a few inches up on that part of the cartoon, and it is a dumpster fire, obviously. And I gotta say, this week feels like a dumpster fire in the United States. So maybe it's appropriate or maybe it's depressing. I don't know, but the piece is a lot of fun to weave. So let's go with that. Here is, welcome Davina. She lives near Ganado. Hooray. I grew up near Ganado in Gallup. So beautiful, beautiful place. Okay, this is, let me move back. This is where I am right now. You can see I've started the little shoe. I am not going to weave on that today, mostly because it's really hard to get I feel like it's hard for me to weave on something this fine. I need to lean close to see what I'm doing, and then my head's in the way of the camera. That might be an excuse, but I'm not going to weave on it today. Maybe next time. I've been working on this part with the mountains over here, which is a lot of fun. I'm coming up to some higher mountains over here. You can just see the cartoon. And that will have some 16 EPI back there. And I kind of like how these burned trees are working out. I think it looks kind of cool, and I guess we'll see in the whole mix of it. But the clouds are coming out well, and so far, so good. All right, I'm gonna just reset the camera a little bit so we can work on this part. Don't get dizzy. Sorry, I don't have another good camera, so this is resetting the camera is the best option. Okay, come on. There we go. So we've got mountains, and this is a border around the piece, and these clouds actually have been really fun. They're my favorite part of the piece so far. Welcome, Leslie from Vermont. As I untangle my butterfly here. Jessica's here from Southern Illinois. Thank you, Marla. So one of the issues with butterflies is that they tangle. I like to use them because they're free, and they, in general, are less fussy for me than other things. And on a loom like this Eris, it's big enough for small butterflies. Obviously on my big loom that's right behind me, it has a huge shed, and I can use butterflies easily. But so this is the edge of a border that's going to go all the way up to, oh, you can't even see that, but up near the top there's probably a color change and a butterfly. Depending on how things go in this country, there may be a butterfly. There may not be. We'll find out. Okay, so I'm running out of, well, I probably have enough for one more pick. I need to put in a new weft there. All right. One of the things I'm trying to be careful about on this piece is making sure it doesn't draw in. I want it to stay square, and so I try to measure the width frequently. It should be about 14 and a quarter. So I am doing okay. It feels like it is a whisper wider than it was at the beginning, so not enough to be concerned about, but enough to just watch the warp spacing, which is a little wider here than here. Okay, let's splice this. This piece has a bit of the feeling of summer tapestry to me because it's so different from what my sort of personal focused work is about. And I just see this as a fun demo piece. And so that helps me let go of some of the things I was just thinking about. You can't see it now, but the little foot over here, and how complicated I made that design with the sock and stuff. I'm like, you know what? It's going to be fine. We'll see what we can do. Trying not to get too caught up in worry and just have fun weaving this. Okay, let me just look at the cartoon here. All right, I think this little cloud maybe comes up one more warp, and I think it should maybe go right here. Nope. Sometimes you have to try things before you know. Let's see, that to go there. So this is just going to wrap one warp. Welcome, Renee. I'm trying to get all of this sort of evened up here, and I've added, you can just see it there, the ground around this leg. Debated on that a while this morning, but I think these two colors will, you can just see on the left, will hatch on the other side of this foot, is my plan. If I could just get that foot woven. Will be my goal before the next Change the Shed too. See if I can make that look like a boot. And then there's a lot of fairly easy weaving up to that dumpster, so hopefully that will be quickish. Hi, Susan. Welcome. All right. All right, now I'm going to bring this white over one more. So this is all in Meet and Separate, which is why this is working. The Fixing Your Sheds class that I talked about that I'm running next week is all about how to make sure that your Meet and Separate works. If it doesn't work, I would see lice along the edge of these forms, and that's when you can see the warp. Welcome, Sybil. who has just come from a swim in the Rhine. Sybil's from Switzerland. I don't know if you're in Switzerland at the moment, I imagine. But it seems like it wouldn't be super warm all the time. I always forget that Europe is actually at longitude. Latitude or longitude? Oh my God. Europe is at the same latitude as Canada, a lot of Europe. So it's not like it's super balmy. It's no San Diego. All right, now that I'm talking, have I screwed this up or no? I think that's all right. Okay. I need to sew this slit. I always try to keep my slit sewing off of Change the Shed, but occasionally it's very necessary. Only because I can't imagine it's very interesting. And if you probably can't even see it around my hand. It's the advantage of online classes is that I can film them in a way, believe me, you'll be able to see what I'm doing a lot better in an online class than you do on Change the Shed. Because I always make sure I have a clip that you can actually see what I'm doing. I should take a video sometime of myself making some of those clips and the body contortions one has to go to actually film something so it's easy to see. All right. That's a great question, Kathleen. Kathleen asks, when weaving section by section, do you add more rows in one section to even out the height? I find sometimes yarn varies in thickness depending on the color, even when it's the same brand. Absolutely. So here's a great example of that. This white is definitely thinner than this gray that I'm using in the clouds. Not by much, but a little bit. And then this is Faro, and this is Harrisville Kohler Singles. And they are very similar, but this Harrisville is just slightly thicker. So occasionally, yes, I will, especially when using different yarns or yarns that end up being different thicknesses. You can just add an extra sequence. So right here, say I want to match this. This is thinner than this, and I needed a little extra. I can just add an extra sequence in here. And then just treat it as, oh, I said I was going to make that go higher, didn't I? Maybe I'm not going to. Might like it like that. Okay, and then just treat it like, let's see, I had 4 here and 2 there. I want 4 and 3. So if I do this, and then on the next one, pretend that these matched even though they didn't, that would be how I would get an extra sequence of the white in there to fill in a low spot. Basically, the short answer, Kathleen, is yes. In Tapestry, this is fiber. Yarn is not consistent. It just can't be, especially commercial yarn. It can't be consistent all the time. And so you will get colors that are different. It's impossible for a mill to make the yarn exactly identical every single time because the fibers they're getting change and the dye changes the yarn. So darker yarns have more dye a lot of times. With synthetic dyes anyway, that means the yarn is slightly thicker. It's fiber, just add extra. All right, now, see, now I'm behind over here. And as I was talking, look what I did there. I didn't actually want to move that over, so I'll take that out. Hi, Janice. Is that because of how the yarn reacts? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Sybil. Reacts to what? It's not about how. It's about how thick the yarn is, I think. Not about any of the techniques. Or sometimes you're just beating unevenly or whatever. It's fiber. It doesn't matter. Just add a little bit of extra. It will be fine. Okay, so I am 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm weaving this whole section at the same rate. We could keep track of that. These 4 butterflies. Yeah, I think a lot of us who come from other disciplines think that we need to make fiber behave like it's a more rigid medium, and it's not. I think it's important to embrace the fact that fiber is fiber. It comes from sheep. They're living animals. The fleece that they grow this year will be different than the fleece they grow next year because of whatever's happening in their world. And the commercial buyer might not buy that exact fleece anyway the next year, but they're making the same yarn. But it came from different sheep from somewhere else or a different flock or whatever. It's just impossible for it to be completely consistent. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I think I am gonna like this little cloud shape. Oh, how the yarn reacts to the dye? No, I don't think there's a reaction of the yarn to the dye. I just think there's more dye. The difference of a depth of shade of 4 and the depth of shade of 0.5, the amount of dye I put in those 2 dye baths is vastly different. And all of that's material. Little bits of dye are attaching to the yarn. And so there's just more of it in a darker yarn than a lighter yarn. Just a function of mass, I think. Okay, I think that might be, let's do one more maybe. One more of these little white. That might be different with natural dyes, I don't know. Natural dyes have mordants. It's a completely different thing. So I'm talking about synthetic dyes, which is what all of your commercial yarn is dyed with. At least I don't know of any commercial yarn that is naturally dyed. Okay. Now, before I can bring that over, I have to sew that slit. Hooray. Mary, you make me laugh. So the Tapestry police won't come and count sequences. They will not. If they do, you have the wrong friends. This is your artwork. You can do whatever you want to. There shouldn't be any tapestry police, but in past years it has felt that there were. I think that's relaxed a lot though, which is good. I mean, just look at the changes in ATA where it used to feel like the tapestry police and now it's like, oh, we're gonna do all kinds of stuff that's not even made of fiber. So that's a change. Okay, can you even see this? Now, as so I use the slit sewing as counting And remember I put that extra sequence in there. So I'm gonna go on this side. Can you see that? Yeah, 2. I'm gonna go 3 on this side just because I remembered that I did that. And then I do have the right number of sequences. So they don't match on purpose. You don't have to get that granular about it though. You can just weave stuff and make it come out. Of course, if you're using the same yarn for your whole piece and you want it to be nice and flat, having essentially the same number of sequences throughout the piece is going to make it flat. If you have a lot of extra yarn packed into one area, then it won't be flat. And that might be a problem for you, or you might be fine with it. So there are, reasons to keep those sequences quite similar. Just to give you the other side of the story. Okay, so that little cloud is coming out. So cute. And this portion, can you see that? There are burned trees at the whole background of this thing, and there will be some fire at the top. And then this goes up into mountains. So let's just fill this part in and do a little more of these trees. There's a line here, which is this same, see how there's a different color here? Can you see that? That same brighter color is along this line. Yeah, Paula says she's found the same thing in knitting yarn, that bright and dark colors sometimes seem thicker than white shades. I feel like it has to do with the dye. Although I have, come across yarns where that isn't true, where it's a really light color and it seems very thick. But there's just differences in manufacturing, and who knows. All right, I'm just gonna pick this for a second. Can adding sequences too frequently cause buckling? Yes, Kathleen, thank you. So that thing where if you want a really flat textile, keeping the amount of fiber in any one area similar is going to make the textile flatter. And if you add, am I doing 2? Oh, there were 3 there. Okay. Trying to get a sort of angle here that will be even. If you add a lot of extra fiber in one area, yes, it could certainly buckle, especially if you're doing that eccentrically. And by buckle, I'm thinking it will either pooch out or make your selvages wider, that kind of thing. Okay. This cloud is almost done. I'm pretty excited to finish that because not long after that, there's a 16 EPI part of the mountain. I want to see if that works. One of the fun things about tapestry for me is just that it's always this mystery of, ooh, what's that gonna look like? It's like the next question that comes up. I think it's fun. 1, 2. You know what? I better do both of these at the same time because they need to kind of hatch. All right. Also, there's an order of things in tapestry, so now I'm back to putting this in a second. These are the little burn trees. Okay. This little technique is one that I prefer to do, weaving from the back. But this is definitely a piece that is advantageous to weave from the front. So, and this is actually an example of what you're asking about, Kathleen. So these little trees, some of them I have put in as sequences between the other weaving. So this is a thinner bundle than what I'm weaving here. And so some of them I've just thrown in there. Like I just did a full sequence there and I'm going to weave on top of it without filling in on the sides. And then sometimes I am filling in on the sides. So I'm making up for the fact that that bundle is a different size. The dark bundle is a different size than what's around it. So right here, I just wove right over that. But the next time I put that in, I'll probably treat it like its own sequence and only weave up to the edge. Let's see, I can show you that in a second. Okay, so there's 3 there. And I am matching sequences. I just push that up to see how many. There's 2 of those and there's 3 next to it. So I do want to match those 3. So say we put this back in now. Let's do it the other way so you can see what I mean. So then I would treat it like it's its own. I'm not just adding it without. Hopefully this makes, I'm not finding the right words. Hopefully it makes sense. And then this goes to the back. I really like this color blend. It's these are yarns I dyed, but one is kind of greenish and one is brown. They make a nice blend, which is fun to weave with. Sometimes the colors are half the joy. Okay, and then we are going to need to finish up that little cloud. Thanks, Sally. Yeah, I often do use slit sewing as a way to count sequences. I find that lots and lots of people resist sewing slits as they go, and that's fine. They don't do it in France either, but there are also people who weave in workshops every day, all day long for decades, and they have a lot of control over their weaving. If you sew your slits as you go, it helps control you don't start getting flaps of fabric that are going over the other ones because they're getting wider and narrower. It helps you control your weft tension. All right. Also, it's how I was taught, so I just always sewed slits from the beginning, and so it's not a big deal. Ooh, now look at how you can just get carried away here, and this little cloud needed to end back there, and look, I just kept weaving. So that's fun. I could fill that in with the same color, but it would be best to go back and take this brown out and fill in those. So that's about how many sequences worth? 2, 3, 4, 5, about, oh, it's only a couple sequences. All right. Let's just finish this cloud. I'm just gonna move this over because it's in the way. I'll probably end up taking that out. Can you see this cloud? Not very well. All right. Gonna have to, the ends of these clouds, the little pointy ends with two colors, are tricky. I'm just adding a little more white because this white, like I said, is thin. I wanted the bleached white, and I don't want to bleach it myself, and Harrisville, of course, doesn't sell bleached yarn, so I had to get the faro. Okay. Is that going to be enough? I'm going to actually do one more here. It may be that this is closer than I think to matching. All right, let's bring it over now. So now I just have 3 warps here. And I'm gonna try to keep this gray going. You can tell I started, oh, you can't quite see the bottom. I started the points of these, you can't see that one either, with just the white, so I'll probably end with just the white here in a second, but I want to keep the gray going for a half a second longer. Probably this will be the end of the gray. Okay. Ooh, let's just try one more. All right. So I'm going to cut that and pigtail this. I like to cut my tails just long enough that if I changed my mind on that, I would have enough length to do a tiny bit more with the gray. In this case, I'm not going to need it, but okay, so that'll be the top of that cloud, I think. And I'm gonna have to go back and take out about that much, I think, of this brown. All right, let's just fill this in for one last thing. And let me, so this is going to meet an area of 16 EPI is what this yellow is. So that is a bit of a transition zone. And because this yarn is so fluffy, it actually works pretty well. So right here, before I got on, or whenever I was weaving this, I split those two. These are 2 warps that are working together, and I have split them. Even with the fluffy yarn, that helps cover up any differences between the 2 sets. And it's a way to get a little bit finer. So now I'm just guessing. I can't match sequences because this is 2 strands of Weaver's Bazaar Fine, and it's just a completely different set. So I just have to eyeball it and see if I can figure out how to make it look the best. And also not let this fluffy yarn, the Harrisville Color Singles, overpower the shape that is with the thinner yarn. I have tried that, Sally. Sally asked about adding an extra strand of the white because it's thinner. It's too, the 4 strands is way too thick. So it's not that much thinner. A commercial yarn shouldn't be that much thinner. That would be the solution, but I guess it's possible. Not at these kind of sets. If you're weaving at 6 EPI, yeah, for sure, it doesn't matter. Just your weft bundle is going to be so thick that you won't notice. If you made it thicker. This is way more than I would leave for sewing slits. I like to sew more often than that, but for today. Okay, so I split that warp. That is, oh no, hold on. No, it's not a split one. It's the full thing. I split it before with the white. Okay, sorry for my mumbling. So here, we need to decide on this pick in the yellow, I split the warps here. These 2 warps were split, of course. And am I going to split them or just cover them with this pick? I think the shape's gonna pack in enough that I can split that. So I picked up just 1 warp, even though this is a fat weft. And then on the next time across, ooh, you know what? Maybe not. Let's take that out and just do both of them. Okay, I think that's gonna be all right. I'm just gonna bring this back to get it out of the way, but I need to fill in what's next to it before I go any farther on that piece, because tapestry goes from the bottom to the top, and you don't want to weave out into space over anything else, at least in this form of tapestry weaving. Actually don't know of any professional tapestry weavers in any tradition who weave shapes in the middle of warp and then fill in underneath. So it's a hard way to weave. Kathleen's asking me about if I'm teaching at Harrisville in 2026. So we're talking about Harrisville yarn. This is Harrisville Kohler singles. I have thought about it, Kathleen. I don't have an answer yet, but it would be about a year from now if I did that. I missed Harrisville this year. I had been going, actually I can't remember. Did I go 2 years in a row? Anyway, it's a wonderful place. If you ever have a chance to take a class from anybody there, please go. Linda Teller-Pete and her sister Barbara Teller-Ornelas teach there most summers. They're wonderful if you want to learn Navajo weaving. It's just a fantastic place to go, right, Kathleen, for a week, and you can stay. They have like a boarding house there that you can stay that has little rooms and a kitchen, and it's such a marvelous place. I love it very much. So I don't know if I'll be there, but nice question. So I will be back on, whoops, I did not mean to do that. I meant to do this. I will be back working on this thing in 2 weeks on June 25. And my goal is to have that boot in there. If you're on Patreon, I will, if I don't decide to weave the boot on Change the Shed, which I probably won't just because of the camera stuff, I will do a video of it though for Patreon. So if you're on Patreon, at any of the paid levels, you will get to see that video. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Susan. I second what Susan says. Have a great 2 weeks. I hope that June is treating you well and we all have plenty of weaving time, or whatever you're doing that you enjoy it, and live every day. All right, y'all. Thanks for coming. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all showing up, and I will see you in a couple weeks or on Patreon much sooner. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.